non-official analogy to the name that says that the actual term is path of logic. How much of that holds any water?
Okay, so to explain the original naming to the non-Russian speaking viewers, the original game is called in Russian More Utopia, which is a pun, because Thomas More wrote a book called Utopia, and the word More happens to mean plague in Russian, so it's a homonym. So, you know, a pun. And yes, as far as I'm aware, again, I was 15 at the time, but as far as I'm aware, the idea with the English name was to try and keep some sort of pun as well. So the term pathologic obviously is meant literally, like it's a game about disease, but also yes, it is meant to evoke the phrase path of logic in your mind, as in each character follows their own path, and like Daniels, who was the most well-defined protagonist in the original game, and his is the path of logic, so to speak.
Fantastic. I love this little trivia. Trivia is the spice of life. So,
It is.
this was one of the things that I never think possible some years ago when I played Pathologic 2, because, you know, it's like meeting your heroes. Like, I'm gonna throw all the positive thinking I can your way now, because I'm very thankful for your presence here. And I wanna tell the audience, of course, after you allowed it, that we plan to do a stream of Pathologic 2 closer to the release of Pathologic 3. So we'll be on comms with Alfina, we'll play through Pathologic 2 for as long as we can master, and we'll talk about the creative decisions to an extent that led to getting the game we finally got back in 2019. Stick around for that. The call to arms that we always have to do these days, or we're not going anywhere, the way, you know, social media is structured. But from the bottom of my heart, without any hint of humorous intent, I am thankful that you and your colleagues exist in this world, and you offered us this masterpiece. As I said at the beginning, it had a profound impact to my, you know, mind. I would put it like side by side with the Legacy of Kain, the impact it had back in the day on me, which was one of the best penned series ever. Like Amy Hennig, probably her best work ever on the Legacy of Kain series. Of course, Pathologic is a much more intricate storytelling device, because it breaks the fourth wall a lot, whilst the Legacy of Kain back in the day was a very straightforward narrative experience, whilst complex in its own right. But it's things that stick to you. It's like those higher plane experiences that stick with you and define you to an extent. So I am super thankful for the time you allowed us tonight, and I hope people who will watch this will get, I wouldn't say some useful information about the game, that's a bit pedestrian. I mostly want to let the people who watch my interviews get a glimpse into the minds of the people who are behind the creation itself. Is there anything, because closing remarks are going to be yours, is there anything that you would like to say to the people waiting for P3, or just in general to the people who might be watching out of interest to the IP? Let them know, or relay any kind of idea to them.
Well, it's kind of a tough question, because everything we want to say we will say in the game and with the game, hopefully. I just, like, an absolutely random thought that I had during one bit of our interview is how hard it is to balance out the more and the utopia in the bachelor's route specifically, because the Haraspeks dealt in Pathologic 2 dealt with the step mysticism, and he was a person of this sort of twofold background. He's a half
the
blood.
duality.
He's half,
yeah.
Yes, he half kin, half Nonkin, he has had education outside the town and then returned to it. But it's oddly the same with the Bachelor, even though he's not of mixed origins. He deals with people who create actual miracles, but also
Дышите. Не дышите.
they are sort of like
Дышите.
juxtaposed on very simple, very human stories that happen around him because of the plague that happened in the town. And for me as a narrative director, it's a very complicated thing to maintain the right tone and the right balance between odd, strange and miraculous things happening, like, I don't know, actual visual paradoxes that you can maybe encounter at some point, because you've delved deeper into the Kane's experiments. And the, I don't know, like, stories like the story of a guy whose wife died of the plague, and he realized that he didn't actually know where she bought meat, and he kind of can't look after himself, and like you feel kind of a sort of pity for him, and you feel sorry for him, and he's a bit pathetic, but also, you know, very confused, and like I think it's so important to keep the scales in balance with the weird and the humane. And that's like you said that you invite people to talk to you to get into the brains of who makes the game, so this is the thing that I'm currently like, you know, turning over and over in my head, how to keep the right balance, how to give the players the miraculous and the weird and the eye candy and whatever, and preserve the humanity of very simple human stories that happen around you as well.
That's fantastic. I would like to make you a super to ask you a super in-depth meta question about the second game, again out of context, so no spoilers, and then we're gonna have closing remarks. Rubik has a body behind an impregnable curtain in the mid-game of Pathologic 2. A very well lit curtain in the in the you know, in the train yard, let's say. Is that body the lost body of a very prominent individual that we all think it is?
Find out in Patho3 3.
Ooh, fantastic! That was the best possible answer. People, this has been Alfina, Narrative Director of Pathologic 3.